Hello and welcome everyone to this week's live broadcast. I hope you are all having a fabulous week in Strata. Today I want to talk about smoking, cigarette smoking in our apartment buildings, a very difficult situation for many people who might be living next door to a chain smoking tenant and suffering the awful consequences of that. There are things that can be done about this in Strata, unlike if you were living in a freestanding property and you just had to put up with a chain smoking neighbour. In Strata, we can actually do something to deal with this problem. Now, I had a client approach me this week and ask the question, Amanda, can we introduce a bylaw or maybe a set of bylaws that imposes a total ban on smoking in our strata building? Can we stop residents and visitors from smoking both on the common property and within their own lot? Can we stop them from smoking on their balcony? Can we stop them from smoking on their terrace? Can we stop them from smoking inside their home where we have smoke that drifts from the inside of a unit to the common property areas? And that is disturbing the peaceful, healthy enjoyment of other owners. Can we stop smoking full stop in our building? Can we ban it? And my answer was yes. I say that you can. And I say that our law here in New South Wales allows you to do that. Now, if you are new to this topic, I would suggest you go over and have a listen to our podcast episode number 39. And that's where I interviewed Scott Waldsberger, who was the then spokesperson for the New South Wales Cancer Council. And we talked about why the Cancer Council says that all strata buildings, all apartment buildings should be 100% smoke-free and should adopt that policy. And we talked about how you can do that by way of an enforceable bylaw. Now, there are a few tribunal cases in New South Wales which we have seen that fall into, I say, three categories. There are cases where bylaws that ban smoking completely, that make a building completely smoke-free, have been upheld as valid bylaws. We also have cases where there have been landlords in strata buildings that have been fined for failing to provide a smoke-free environment for their tenants. And we also have cases where tenants have been prevented from smoking in their lots because our tribunal has said that creates a nuisance. And we are not permitted to create a nuisance under our strata law in New South Wales. If smoking is a nuisance, then it can be prevented. Now, if you want to check out those cases, because they give some good background to some of the things that I'm talking about, the case where a smoke-free bylaw was upheld is an old case. I think it's about 1997, and it's called Salerno, S-A-L-E-R-N-O. It's a New South Wales District Court case, and quite simply, it was a bylaw that prevented smoking anywhere in the building, whether in a lot or on the common property, and it was challenged as being invalid, being too broad, and the District Court said, no, you can have a bylaw that is that broad, and a bylaw that bans smoking within a lot as well as on the common property. In relation to landlords being fined for failing to provide a smoke-free environment for their tenant, a relatively recent case, 2015, and I think this got some airtime in our media here in New South Wales when it came out. It's a case that is called Bhandari, B-H-A-N-D-A-R-I, and Laning, and it is a decision of our appeal panel of the tribunal here in New South Wales. And the landlord was actually fined $11,000 because the landlord didn't do anything about a chain smoking neighbour in a strata scheme. One of the things the landlord could have done is approached the strata committee and proposed a bylaw be introduced that prevented that chain smoking neighbour from doing just that on their lot and impacting the tenant and their health. So that was a very hefty fine and something for owners of investment properties to be really conscious of what is going on in your apartment building that may impact your tenants and cause them to make that kind of quite serious application against you in the tribunal. Now we have, I mentioned a couple of nuisance cases where the tribunal has said smoking is a nuisance, and if it's a nuisance then it can be stopped by order of the tribunal. And we've got a 2006 case, the Owners Corporation Strata Plan 49822 and May, M-A-Y, and in that case the tribunal member said that the tenant had to take whatever steps were necessary to prevent smoke from drifting from their lot onto other lots or the common property. And really importantly, I think in that case, the tribunal member said that the compliance with the orders might mean that the tenants cannot smoke anywhere in their unit. If that's the case, well, bad luck. That is a consequence of the nuisance and the lack of enjoyment that smoking creates. So those are the members' words from that case. And a more recent case in 2014, Bill Sheath and Rhonda Sheath against Whiteley, or Whitley maybe it is, and that case reached the same conclusions that were reached in that May case, that even if the cure for the nuisance is for the smoking to stop altogether on the property, in the lot or in the common property, then that is the case. That's what's going to have to happen. No smoking anywhere, and a bylaw to that effect will be upheld. Now, I am live today, and I know there's a couple of you out there enjoying the video. I'd like to say hi to Stephen and hi to Michelle. Thank you for being here with me today. Great to see you. So I think our new legislation here in New South Wales, what I call our 2015 Act, makes it even more likely that these kinds of bylaws that ban smoking within lots and on the common property are going to be upheld by the tribunal. And I say that's because we now have specific reference to smoking being a nuisance or a hazard in our legislation. And that's in section 153 of our Act in New South Wales. Take a look at that section. And it does say that smoking can cause a nuisance or a hazard and may interfere unreasonably with the use and enjoyment of the common property or the use and enjoyment of another lot. So if you do, as an owners corporation, need to bring an application to the tribunal that an owner or a tenant is causing a nuisance due to smoking on the common property or on their lot, you can rely on that section 153, and I think you're going to have really good chances of success of having an order that that nuisance cease, even if that means that person is not allowed to smoke within their lot. Now, finally, I want to draw your attention to a really great toolkit that the Cancer Council of New South Wales produces. If you Google New South Wales Cancer Council smoke-free apartments, you're going to get to an awesome web page that they've got set up. And they have a toolkit especially for strata committees and strata buildings that sets out the relevant statistics about smoking in strata, as well as smoking generally and how bad it is, as we all know, for our health. They have reference to the law in New South Wales. They've got reference to the cases, including the cases that I've just mentioned, and tips for you to advocate for a smoke-free building. And it's a really easy to understand document, and it should assist you as an owner or a committee member or even a strata manager if you're helping a committee who's advocating for a new bylaw or an amendment to your bylaws, and that makes it very clear that your building is a smoke-free building. Hi, Rochelle. Lovely to see you here as well. Thank you everyone for joining me here today. These live broadcasts I do every Wednesday afternoon. So far, it's Wednesdays. It's working out for me. I hope it's working out for you. If you have topics that you'd like me to cover off, I always love to hear from you. Feel free to drop me a note in the comments to this video, and I'll make sure that I can cover off those topics for you in coming videos. But that's smoking for today. Hope that was helpful. I shall catch you next time.